And we are live all the way from quarantine Chi-Town. You understand? We
Hey,
quarantining up here together. You understand? We are quarantining up here together.
yes, we
Together, not together, not together, together. We in this together. And if you don't know what that is, we not talking about your ass. You understand what I'm saying? So let's welcome to the microphone into the platform this for this illustrious, motivating, soul stirring message
wow. You know what? You
for the
gave
third Saturday in the row. You understand what I'm saying? Not once, not twice, but three times a Saturday up in here. You
oh my God.
understand what I'm saying? So we are here, tuned in on Do the Knowledge Radio to celebrate and pay homage to and uplift the divine mind of our sister who is going to motivate us out of our depths of despair and into an aligned mind of elevation. Okay. She is going to exercise the demon that exists in your mind in regards to how you see yourself in your current reality. Okay. We're gonna get a healing today. We're gonna get a
You,
healing.
you know you know what?
We're gonna get a healing today.
You play too much,
So
but
she is here to evangelize and help us strategize and see who qualifies and who is disqualified today. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back to the microphone for the third Saturday in a row. We going for a fourth Saturday. I don't know how we gonna work it out, but we gonna try to work it out. Okay.
you know what?
Let's welcome to the microphone the mastermind and master visionary, Shot Town's own. Put your hands together and show your love for Bianca Thompson.
you
B, 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 B.
you know what? Thank you, Knowledge Born Allah, with your crazy self. I appreciate all the love. Uh, it's like, man, I've never gotten received an intro like that before. I think last time you announced it as B Day, and then today I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
okay. So,
yeah.
all right, knowledge just left a lot of responsibility on my shoulders, but it's all good. I've been sitting with myself. And for those who don't know me, like again, my name is Bianca Thompson, Chi-Town born and raised. And I've this is my third time on the show. And it's when I was invited for the third time, I was like, ugh, what am I going to talk about? I've already talked about myself. There's already, what more is there? So I really started to shrink back and think that I had nothing else to offer. And I was like, dang, where did that come from? Where is that? Why is that? What's in my head? Why is that my mindset? So I had went ahead and said yes before I even knew what I was going to talk about, and as the week unfolded, it came to light what I want to talk about. And then I hadn't even shared it with Knowledge Born Allah, what I want to speak about. But then when I read his title, which for today, and it reads Rising from a Traumatic State to Elevation. I was like, boom, universe worked it out. We on the same page telepathically or whatever. But for whatever reason, he made it that title, and I had already made it in. Had been given the topic to talk about trauma, and it just kind of blew my mind when I saw what he had put down. Um, so I'll give a little bit of history and background about myself. I've had several traumatic experiences as a young child. And again, like I stated before, I don't need to go into detail about each one. And then we all on here, or some may be on here boohooing and crying. If anybody's out there, that's not the intention. I really want to dig into what the title was and kind of work my way backwards and let you guys in on kind of where I am and how I've processed different things. So he used the word traumatic state. And I'm a word person. So I was like, let me look up the word traumatic because it's been thrown around a lot lately. Oh, trauma this, trauma that. But a traumatic state, when I looked at the definition of traumatic, and it noted emotional, disturbing, or distressing, emotionally disturbing or distressing. So any type of thing or incident or something that happens that makes you emotionally disturbed or emotionally distressed. Now it's easier. Trauma is it's a nicer word. It's a prettier word than to use the phrase emotionally distressed or emotionally disturbed. Um, we don't want to think of ourselves as disturbed or distressed, but to say I've been traumatized, that's a little easier. That's a little lighter. But when we really think about that, being in that state, and a state is that condition. We're in a emotionally disturbed condition, and an emotionally distressed condition. So when you think about rising from a traumatic state, and you think about it that way, and you use those different words, rising from an emotionally disturbed condition. It don't sound as good. It sounds like, should she be in a mental hospital or something like that? What's really going on? What's got her distressed? So I think that we have to really look at that. So when you think about the traumatic state, it is something that's disturbed you, that is distressed. At least that's been my personal experience. And when I thought about the word elevation that he used in the title, um, elevation is that new awareness. And I think that what I'm learning is that when you elevate, it's okay. It's great. It's awesome. But are you bringing somebody up with you? So I see elevation is just state of elevating myself, and then also having a responsibility to share my elevation with others, whether they are receptive to it or not, because everybody's not going to be on the same vibe that you are on. And sometimes it never happens. Sometimes it may take years for other people to understand where you are, where you were, and what you're trying to communicate. But I think those of us that feel like we've elevated to a certain extent, be it spiritually, emotionally, whatever, we have something to give, and that's exciting. Um, and it's also sometimes it's a little bit scary because you have to, at least for me, because I know I have to jump outside of that chill Bianca that's like, whatever, world, do your thing. I'm chilling over here with whatever it is that I'm doing. But when you think about spreading what you know and putting yourself out there, sometimes it ain't easy. This third interview, I'm telling y'all, I was looking for a way to back out of it, but it came to me, and I'll share a little bit about, again, going to sharing about myself, is that, again, growing up, I had several traumatic experiences as a child, and they were sexual, they were molestation. And I felt like, okay, you know what, you did some different things with different groups of different people, so I've healed from it. And didn't realize that it was still running the program, that it was still operating in the back of my mind and kind of dictating how I moved within the world. But because sometimes when you think you've dealt with something, you're like, oh, I got that, I'm good. But it isn't. And it didn't hit me until last year. And when I went to a retreat, and there was a lot of women there at this retreat, for the size that I thought it would be a bigger mix of men and women, but it was more women than I thought. And I was like, ugh, women, ugh, I don't do the girlfriend click thing. I'm chill just by myself. But I was meant to be there for more than one reason. And this week, what came to me is one of the reasons I was meant to be there is that to really start to heal my sexual trauma on another level. There were a lot of women there that had dealt with sexual trauma on some level, if not all of the women. Um, damn near close to all of them had, and there was quite a bit of sharing, and I was so super uncomfortable doing part of that sharing because I'm like, "Oh, I done dealt with this. I don't want to. This is it's pulling on my emotion strings, and I'm feeling bad for everybody. Blah blah blah." But really, I was feeling bad for me, and I didn't know it. So sometimes, um, you know, a traumatic state. Um, it's kind of layers to it. For me, I think about what even led me to go to that retreat is that I was pushed into a traumatic state with a disruption of a relationship. I mean, we lived together and it just fell apart and it was awful. The breakup was just awful. I acted a damn fool, y'all. Um, I wasn't violent. I was tempted, but I wasn't. But it was definitely a traumatic state, and I think that traumatic state pushed me to go to that retreat, and then that retreat has opened so much for me, and it listening to the traumatic experiences of others, and then this year just different working on myself as far as making sure that Bianca is operating on the best level, highest level that she can, is leading me back to that traumatic state of that little Bianca where she was hurt by folks in her family, and it's it's not. Um, it's not a easy thing sometimes to deal with, and when I think about, dealing with that little Bianca, um, it was hurtful, it was bad, but it happened the way it was supposed to happen, and it brings me to a movie I saw a couple of months back, I don't even remember the name of it, but it was the one with Mr. Rogers, and there's one statement that he made, during that movie that it has stuck with me, and it was about grief. And the family didn't want to talk about somebody. I think somebody had died, and then Mr. Rogers said something so simple is that if it's mentionable, it's manageable. And again, if it is mentionable, it is manageable. And I think what kind of kills us in the Black community is we don't mention a lot of shit. There's just a lot of stuff we do not mention. We keep it stuffed down, and then it trickles down through the generations, um and we're hurting one another by not talking about things or not dealing with it or acting as if things didn't happen, especially when it comes to sexual trauma. So it's um it's it's something that I think that if we don't start to deal with, that it will continue. Outside of Corona, COVID-19, and everything else, it is so disruptive in our families because we can't even fully trust one another. We don't feel protected because everybody kind of figures something happened but doesn't know if it did, and folks are sometimes afraid to ask, and then you have the child that has been traumatized and they're, what do I do with this? What do I do? And I think that it plays out in just a number of different ways in our community, and I think that if we that we have to be okay with challenging um, the status quo and having these conversations about, hey, what's really going on with this kid, or why are they, was once, playful and now they're not, or they're showing behaviors that doesn't seem quite right or too advanced for them. There's usually a reason. So, and some kids are better at hiding it than others. I know I hid anything that at least I think I did my best hiding um who I was or what had happened to me because I didn't want to talk about it. It just felt wrong. It felt I just didn't want to talk about it. So I hid it. I acted as if it never happened. And but how that's played out in my adult life is that I'll sit back in a cut and I'll hide and I won't show up as my true and authentic self. And that's how I dealt with it. Other kids may deal with it in different ways. They may become hypersexualized, where they may become very promiscuous, or they may become a prude. And so none of it is healthy. And we have to find a way to have these uncomfortable conversations. And I think at first, for me, it just started with, being honest with myself. Okay, there's some shit going on with me, and I gotta figure out a way um to deal with this. And everybody deals with it differently. If it be it going to a therapist, be it finding different type of spiritual healers that are not that are more holistic than what you might get a degree for. Whatever it is, that's fine. Some have found it in a church. For me, that was just the start of my healing process. I think that definitely the spiritual teachers that I've had this year were definitely been a huge help in me just really seeing myself, and not seeing myself as a victim. When I say see myself, not seeing myself as that little kid that just felt unprotected or felt uh, why am I here on this earth? I mean, I had, very distinctly remember at 7827 South X's in Chicago having that conversation with myself in the mirror, like, why am I here? What is this all about? Because I don't get it. And I had to be about, I don't know, seven or eight at the time that happened, that I'm in the mirror talking to myself that way. So um I think that again, we just dealing with myself, and then also understanding that once I come to a certain awareness about what it's going to take to heal. And I feel like I'm still learning. Like this whole, like I've been very pulled in this this manner or this process of ancestral healing. I still don't quite understand it all, but I sit with it, and let whatever comes up come up. And sometimes, I mean, I had a really powerful experience about a couple of months ago where it was like I just really would just repeat certain things that I felt like were put in me, that were downloaded by spirit in me to work on healing. Now, I went with the flow. I didn't know exactly how all of that was going to play out and what it meant, but I feel like this week some conversations have been had, and it's time to for Bianca to go even deeper with my family. And that's a little uncomfortable because, we want our families to be good and everything to be great, but sometimes it's not. And then there's just work that needs to be put in to help one another heal. And I still don't have all the answers. I'm just gonna, it'll come to me. Um, who needs to help me and my family in this manner, and we'll move forward. But I think that once um, you sit with yourself, things will start to open up for you. But I think we really have to be honest with ourselves and what happened, and sometimes look at our lives and realize that that traumatic experience is playing in the background, and that's why we operate the way we do. And again, sometimes even for myself, like I said, I thought I had healed and I'm good, wrote my letter to the universe, and then boom, traumatic experience of breaking up with someone in 2018. And then that led to me being at this retreat in 2019. And there's just so much that has opened since then, and it's good, it's exciting, it's scary, there's work to be done, and I don't even know what that's going to look like. I have some people that are on my radar to reach out to get direction and guidance to help with the situation going on within my own family. So um it's just sometimes time to put in the work and not be afraid. I know for me, um, it was heartbreaking, what I one of the conversations I had this week, and I just, I ain't gonna cry, y'all. I didn't cry on the phone with this particular person, but I just my mind went from, okay, what do I need to do to help this situation? And it was and I think everything that I've been through within the last year and a half, it all had to happen the way it did so it can get me to this point. So that when I had that conversation this week, I didn't break down and bawl and cry, scream and holler and get ready to go do something that could land me in jail. Um, I just needed to be able to think it through. Okay, so all right, this is a situation. Okay, and give the best insight and advice I could to this particular person, but also it's like, okay, it's time to set some other things in motion. Yeah, we on a COVID-19 lockdown, but we have Zoom, we have all this for right now. I don't know how long we got it, but we got Zoom for right now until Big Brother wants to shut it down. So it's like, okay, what can I do to help the situation within my family? Um, and some conversations need to be had, and it's not going to be easy, and having those conversations, like I said, sometimes it feels it's a little bit scary because I do feel chosen on 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 a particular level for my family to start that generational healing. And that ain't an easy position to be in, especially when there's so much strife and kind of discord within your family. And I think we all have that dysfunction on some level. But to have to, but to be, but to hear it, to know it, that you're called to step up to work on that generational healing, it's it's um it's a lot, and it's exciting for that to see what's possible for the outcome. But the initial work, it's like I wrote it down today. It was like, or not yesterday, or whenever it was, I don't know. But I wrote to be chosen as the catapult to take stand to put a voice to what has been muffled by decades of avoidance. Decades of avoidance is scary, and the reason that I feel like it's scary because sometimes as humans, even when we truly love one another, we just mean. We cruel, we mean, and um we don't, because we don't want to deal with the feelings and the flood and the emotions of of trauma. We stuff it. And I mean, I get it. We stuff it. We stuff it, but it still is showing up, and our babies, our kids are suffering. And it's not just sometimes adults doing stuff to kids, it's kids doing stuff to kids, and that's because they have been traumatized in some type of way. And it's this conversation that we just really have to start having and be okay with, instead of trying to sometimes when a kid does something, we're like, oh, that child, she just fast, or he just this, or what's mm-mm, mm-mm. Kids, I don't think just naturally do things in a sexual manner like that. I think that when our intuition or something tells us something's not right here, and you don't know what it is, but you know something's not right, is to kind of sit with that and be with it, pray about it, ask questions, and I'm telling you, it will come out when it needs to come out. Because I promise you, I have, in this particular situation, I had seen some things. I was like, something ain't right. Don't know what it is, but something ain't right. So, I've been praying about it. I had just been watching, just watching, and then it came out this week, and I'm like, okay, it's what I thought it was, but not in a particular way that I thought. But I don't know, so I don't know all the details. But I feel like on some level I'm ready to do the work that's needed to keep doing what I need to do for me, to do what I need to do from the generations before me and the generations after me, because all of this it does have an effect on our families. And I think that um, we just got to get past that idea that it's not my responsibility, or oh, that was so long ago. No, it's, even if someone feels like um it they feel like something is okay, or there's no quote unquote behavior issues or different issues within that a person may be displaying. But I think sometimes we push stuff down on such a like, we push it because it's so hurtful. We push it back so far in our heads that we don't deal with it. But it seeps out and it seeps out and it seeps out. Like I said before, it's like that bag of garbage that we have, and we just, it's been loading for years and years, situation upon situation, and it gets a little rip, and it just starts to seep out. And sometimes there's that one thing that happens, and the bag just is just, it's, that garbage bag is just open, and it's just all there. And it's just time for us to get together and just clean up within ourselves, um clean up with our immediate families where we know there's shit going on, or had happened. Is that it's just time to clean it up, and be okay. Like, be okay asking for help. I think we all do our best with parenting. We do the best with the knowledge that we had, with the experiences that we have experienced, and it's no judgment. Like, shit happen. Let's figure out how to move forward as families, and push forward. It's like I said, it is not easy being the one to have stuff revealed to you, and know that, okay, it's time to do some work, especially when sometimes you're not even clear on exactly how it's going to unfold. So right now, I don't have this major plan, which as a Virgo, I want. Believe me, I want a plan. I need a whole outline, but I don't have that because I'm stepping into a realm that is like outside of what I know in this physical self. Probably have done some work on it in my past life, but right now I am outside of what I think I know, because we don't know half the shit we think we know, and the half the shit we do know, we don't really know. So it's, I feel like I'm in a place of just openness, and that I'm open to new ways of thinking, new ways of being, and new ways of healing. So I think that it definitely we have to work with our emotional selves and these bodies, these beautiful bodies that we've been given. And for me, part of that is that I need to be mindful of, number one, of what I put in my body and how I'm treating it, so that I can operate on a higher emotional and spiritual um, 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 mindset. Because if I'm giving my body a bunch of garbage physically, I'm not my best. If I'm not my best physically, I'm dang on sure not my best emotionally and spiritually. So I think it definitely, for me, again, it's definitely, and all of those things are important, especially when you've been traumatized, because you need to give your body fuel, so that when things do come up and your body is ready to purge emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes even physically, that you're healthy, you're in a better state to get these things done. Because we don't we because I think there's so many decades of trauma within our community. I don't even think we shit. I don't think we even fucking know what true healing really, 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 really looks like. I think we may have an inkling somewhat, but there's so much there. And I think that we just have to not be afraid to learn. I know there's some psychiatrists and psychologists may say, I learned this in school and you should do. Write the letter, burn the letter, do this. I think it's so much more than that. I think that that's a good starting point. But for me, I needed so much more, and mine is on a probably a more African spiritual base that I got it. Like right now, I'm itching. I can't wait for this weather. It's so cold in Chicago right now. They keep saying 60s. I live by the lake. It's cold. I want to go put my feet in the earth. I want to go hug a tree. And it's not that I grew up doing that, but it's been for whatever reason. This is what has been downloaded into me lately. It's like this is what you need to do. Get get some sense of grounding. Like um get out into nature. And here we are on a COVID-19 lockdown and I can't get out into nature as much as I want. But trust and believe I'm setting up a plan for the next week because these 2 weeks working from home, a sister been sitting too much. So I have a plan. That's that Virgo in me. I have a plan. So to get myself grounded because I don't know the work that's coming, what it's going to require of me, but I want my body to be at its best. So it's kind of like what I talked about last time, how a lot of times my breakthroughs will start off as a physical um, activity. Um, Taking care of my body. Um, so yeah, I have my plan for next week and we'll see how it goes. But I know that I definitely, I don't know what's coming, but I'm going to do my best to be ready for whatever happens after COVID-19, after we're able to go back outside and live a quote unquote somewhat normal life. Don't know what normal will be, but and then also for the work that needs to be done that I need to continue to do for myself and for the generations after me, because there's some healing that needs to be done there. And I look for mine, my baby, my chicas and my grandbabies. Hey, whatever Grandma B got to do, Grandma B gonna do. So it is. I feel like I've been prepped for this COVID-19 situation for this last few years. Not that I'm not gonna say, oh, I knew it was coming. I'm so spiritual and I know things. Nope. Mm-mm. I just say all the different things that have happened in my life this last, like, especially this last year and a half, almost 2 years. I'm like, dang, okay. Um, I was being prepped for this moment. And that's the way I see it. So, um, government is going to do what government will or will not do. I'm not going to stress over that. But I've been prepped for this and it's, it's, uh, it's, it's interesting. I won't say that, I don't feel fear. I do feel concern that some of these stupid humans gonna do some stuff that's gonna make it worse for all of us. So that's a concern of mine, is that there are just some of us, as far as humans, that are so pushed into this fear status that is being pushed on us, far as the media, that it's going to lead us, it will lead some to make some decisions that will definitely have an impact of all of us, because we are a collective body within this experience. But I just, I don't know. I don't feel fear. I feel concern, but I feel like I'm ready, as much as ready can be, and it's just time to move forward. And I talked a whole lot already. So it's been 33 minutes. All right, Knowledge, do you have any questions for me? Are you there? Okay. All right. So Knowledge must not have any questions. I don't know. He might be off doing his own thing. Um, but it again, is that I think that this time of not being busy, busy, busy is a time for us to get busy with any inner work, self work that we need to do. And then also, like I said, taking that a step further and what do I need to what do I what do I want to do, or what would be helpful for my family, and not being afraid to step in that place of yeah, kind of like putting yourself out there, not so much as a martyr, but as the one that may get ridiculed or the one that may be shunned, but really just putting it out there and seeing how things fall, where kind of things fall. And, we never know. It may, our families may respond to what our honesty, our concerns, our desire to do work, for whatever's needed. And sometimes they may not. But it's time to, I think for me and probably others, is to really put ourselves out there and let the chips fall where they may, and really um, come from a space of of desiring true healing, and knowing that sometimes it's not just one stop trip. Sometimes when I think about trauma, and especially sexual trauma and what it does, especially as a young child, it ruins your whole perspective or sexual experience or sexuality or understanding of sex, because no matter what you've been told or what you learn, when you have that sexual trauma as a child, you just kind of um, sometimes you try to normalize what was done to you, because you feel so alone. You feel so alone. It's like, dang, ain't nobody else talking about this, so it must have only happened to me. And even in the nowadays in ways of information, a lot of times you just don't want anybody to know, so you try to normalize this and whatever that was. Or sometimes you're so repulsed by it that it totally ruins your experience in sexuality and sex. I know for me personally, one of the experience I had with a particular person, I it just as a kid, I was so disgusted. I knew it was wrong, and I just it would make me cringe at the even thought of doing that particular sex act as an adult. Wasn't nothing wrong with that particular sex act, but it was wrong for the person who forced it on me. So when I became an adult, I just was like, that ain't happening. It ain't going down. And I think that that's one of the things we have to look at when we've experienced sexual trauma, is that it impacts us on so many levels. Even though you think you dealt with it, I was like, even though I had thought I dealt with, I was like, I ain't doing that. Nope, nope. And not really connecting until like much later that, oh, that's why I didn't want to do that. That's why I never liked that. But when you allow yourself to sit with it, you learn so much about yourself. And it's like, I'm glad I learned that, because now I like that particular thing, but I ain't gonna tell y'all what that is. But anyway, no, I'm silly. Yeah. And amidst all this serious conversation about sexual trauma, yes, I can still be silly with it. Um, and it doesn't lessen, that I feel that it's wrong. It's just that I think when you know what your triggers are, where they come from, why they're there, then you're more effectively to deal with life and to enjoy life. Oh my God. Y'all, if I had never have figured out that the reason I didn't like that particular sex act was because of what happened to me as a kid, I'd have been missing out on a whole lot. And that ain't right. That ain't fair. But I'm sorry. But on a serious note, yes, I think that's the point. We miss out on so much of what is great and fabulous about life because we have these things that in our head that we won't do or we do that's not really to our benefit. And sometimes it comes from that sexual trauma from childhood, teenage, whenever. And it doesn't allow us to live life fully. So, woo, that's a whole word. And I want to live life fully. I want my offspring to live life fully. And and if that means I have to continue to do the work of Bianca and share what I know and help where I can, I'm going to do it. And yeah, I'm gonna do it. It ain't easy, but I will do it. And I think God will lead the right people in my path to help me do it. And I'm open to that. And sometimes, and don't get me wrong, y'all, I'm not just out here following anybody and everybody. Like I do. There's some people I follow, and then there's some like, okay, you got some good information and tips for this and that, but I don't agree with you on that, there, or the other. And that's okay. So I'm of the mindset right now that whatever it takes, look, healing by any means necessary. Um, and sometimes what that means is opening yourself to new learning, educating yourself. I mean, I got my new book in the mail yesterday about where I'll show y'all. Well, I can't show y'all right now, but it's what is it? Metaphysical anatomy, and it's really thick, and I'm excited about that. It's like I feel like I'm being a college course, but it's all about the body and the things that goes on with us, um, and how we can heal outside of your traditional pharmaceutical or doctor's appointments. And there's nothing wrong with that. I say go, but also know that there's other ways. There's other ways to get your healing. But sometimes the body is so far gone that you need a little bit help from pharmaceuticals. But um, there's enough in our elements and with I think that God gave us in this world where we can work to heal our bodies. And I think sometimes it truly is part of it is a mindset and just really exploring all options. Like I said, I'm not against medical. I mean, I'm Miss Bionic hip. I have a full hip replacement. And sometimes I wonder, would I have needed that hip replacement had my trauma been dealt with when I was a kid? Or if I would have had some type of, there would have been some real healing done when I was younger. Um, Interesting. I've been thinking about that a lot. So I'm going to sit with that and do a little research on the body because basically, with me and having that several traumatic experiences before I was even 10 years old. And then at the age of, what was I? I was 12 going on 13. I had just joined a cheerleader team too, y'all. So 12 going on 13, my leg bone slipped from my hip socket. Now, how often does that happen? So my body was in some kind of distress and trauma that would happen. And I was limping. And then I had 3 pins put into my hip to pin it back together. So 3 pins in the hip since at the age of 12. And then by the age of, God, I don't know how, that was 4 years ago. What is this, 2020, y'all? Yeah, 4 years ago. How old am I? So by age of 48, which is really young, I had a full hip replacement with a pin and a mesh to go around it. And sometimes I believe that um, traumatic experiences, they really do wear and tear on our bodies on a cellular level. So I I think that it's just me that trauma that I experienced, it just really kind of weird on my body outside of whatever else may have been going on. And boom. Here I am needing a major surgery at the age of 12. Boom. Here I am still at 48 after I thought I didn't dealt with stuff, needing a full hip replacement. So trauma, it affects us more than just emotionally and spiritually. It has a direct effect on our bodies as well. So I think that we really, again, have to educate ourselves outside of the norm of just, going to see a therapist is good. And believe me, I'm looking for one, preferably a black one, that is, um, preferably a black one. So, um, I think that's good, but also understanding what trauma truly does to the body. So, we have um, much work to be done. But again, it's exciting, especially in this time, for us to sit. Maybe that's what we need to sit our ass down and think about, what do I need to do personally to make sure what's going on in my life right now? What am I feeling? Like, really be honest with ourselves. What's going on? And not kind of I know y'all on social media, whoever's listening, thank you, but not numb ourselves down with social media. Like, I've even decided, like next week, a couple of hours out of day, that okay, I no flipping through Facebook real quick, no flipping through this, that, the other, that this is my creative time, or this is my time to do whatever outside of electronics. So because if they shut that down too, y'all, we ain't gonna have no electronics. What y'all gonna do then? Yeah. So just things to kind of think about, like, okay, we have some time, and not so much, and oh my god, and just really working to stay present. I think that now it's been 2 weeks that we've been shut in, and I've seen stuff of memes about, oh, what they gonna do when it's over with. What if it ain't over until another 2 to 3 months? What y'all gonna do? What us gonna do? And I think, look, for me, I'm just gonna keep working on being doing the things that bring me to a state of calm, meditation, and working on my body, and really seeking, as long as I have this modem, this this modality of electronic connection with folks that I believe that can help me, is to connect with them, to get what I can, so that I can pour that back into my family, because there's just too much going on. It's too much has happened. Too much is continuing to go on. And I think that if we don't start to mention it, we cannot manage it. So again, um, you know, I grew up on Mr. Rogers. I'm old school. That movie made me cry, y'all, but it was amazing. But what is mentionable is manageable. So if we stay in a state of not mentioning stuff, we will not be able to manage it, and we will still continually pass down these generational, um, quote unquote, curses or generational hurts. Um, and and it's playing out in a really major way with our young people. I mean, I think um, there's more and more, and it's there's more and more instances of teenagers, preteens, even before preteen, whatever we call them, the babies, molesting one another. And I think that's because um, they have so many different modalities of access to information, and no real knowledge about their bodies. It's like they trying to bust a nut before they even know what that mean. So, or know how their bodies fully operate. they're they're doing things that, quote unquote, we would say, "Oh, don't do that. You shouldn't be doing that." Well, I think because we have to think about it made me this week, it made me too also think about how we parent and how we have to educate on a level of sometimes of really understanding the anatomy. Like, how does your brain work? Um how does your penis work? How does your vagina work? How does all these things work? Because these kids, they're getting all this information thrown on them. And also, the other thing that's kind of ticking me lately is that I feel like there's this push for our kids to make major decisions about sexuality before they're even had a chance to understand what hide and go seek, how to play, just how to just be a kid. They are being forced to make decisions that grown folks don't even know how to make. So, um, I feel like we're in this space where we have to protect our kids, and even more so in this age of technology, let them be a kid. And again, I've expressed, like I did last time, I do what I call beach week shenanigans. And it started off as just, hey, spending time with Grandma B, TT Shell, because I have my grandkids and my nephew. And one summer, I had my grandkids, my nephew, I had my ex's, his kids, his boys. I had my trainer's son and one of my teammates at the back at the time. I had her daughter. So we was kicking it. We was having a blast. But it just started to resonate more and more with me that Beach Week shenanigans is really not about just spending time with Grandma B, TT Shell, running all across Chicago. That is a time for them just to release and be a kid. Like, I don't allow technology during Beach Week shenanigans. No cell phones, no tablets. We watch very little TV, and we're very active. I wear their butts out. Although last summer it was kind of interesting because they're entering into this preteen stage. They were sleeping a little later. I had been used to them getting up at like 5, 6 in the morning, and that wasn't happening. So, but it's definitely more about letting them be a kid, and then now and then also just listening and watching them during this time, and then seeing, okay, how can Grandma B, TT Shell assist with their parents? What do I see? What should, you know, how do we incorporate learning in the fun that we do? And then just having honest conversations with them when stuff comes up, because it does. They my babies be on 10 in the summertime. They be on 10. Um, and there's always there's usually some type of opportunity for learning and teaching about how to deal with other humans, because again, I have a very small space. I don't have a big huge mansion, 2-bedroom apartment, 2 baths. But when my babies are here, we up in here. Y'all would think, is that people would tease, say, "Oh, y'all living like the Mexicans." Whatever. We on top of each other and we happy. Um, but so stuff will come up, and I'm learning just to deal with those things and help them as much as I possibly can. And then even, hopefully, my beach week shenanigans won't be deterred because of COVID-19 this summer. But yeah, so even incorporating some things about our bodies and what's going on with them, because they're in that preteen state. So it's there's a lot of work to be done. All right, knowledge. It's been almost an hour. Ask me a question before I keep rambling. Is that a no? You still don't? He ain't talking. He probably didn't left me here just to keep going. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of where I am. And I think that, for those of us who have experienced any type of sexual trauma or know that it exists within our families, um, and sometimes that's the right reason. Some of our family members, they just act crazy as a Betsy bug. You think, what the hell is wrong with them? But then when you realize, or you find out some of the things they experience, you're like, damn, that's what's wrong with them. And then I think um, it helps you to have compassion, but not excuse any type of bad behavior. Um, but that's even more so why we need to find a way to heal ourselves and heal and work with healing with our family members and definitely with our offspring. Because I don't, I have I I don't know what my grandkids are gonna have to face in this, new state of or what was happening in the world right now. We already know that, okay, they've been taken out of school and they don't have that, um, but what will life be like for them when they're in their 20s and 30s and 40s? And all I want to do as Grandma BTT Shell is to give them as much um, spiritual and emotional, like giving them the tools to be able to cope, because that's one of the things that I see, that sometimes we don't know how to cope. We don't know how to cope when things get stressful. Um, and I think that's because we have all these running traumas or incidents in our head. It's like we just, we ain't dealt with that. So when some new stuff come, we just like, we just explode. So um, going back and digging into to whatever issues you may have had as a kid, as that I have had it as a kid, is really important. And it's not I don't think it's a one shot thing. So it's not like, okay, here's the game. Boom. I got it. I nailed it. I think that it's a continual work. And the work is not like, oh, I'm crying. I'm so sad. Blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm talking about, y'all. I'm talking about taking care of your body, taking care of your emotional and spiritual needs, um, and dealing with those thoughts. I think I wrote it down. Um, so it's that one thing that sometimes that comes up, or a couple of things that comes up in our mind that we're like, where'd that come from? And you try to brush it away real quickly. Sometimes that's the thing you need to hold. At least I know for me in my experience, it's like, where'd that come from? It's like, let me sit with that. Let me write that down. Let me explore that a little bit. Where did it come from? What's going on? So again, is sometimes those things we don't want to mention. We don't, especially we, as my daughter would say back in the day, she had told me, I think it in my head. If you think it in your head and then you're trying to get rid of it real quickly, why? Why are you trying to get rid of it really quickly? What's associated with it that you feel like you need to dismiss? Um, Digging at the root of that sometimes will help us to kind of really come into a full blossom. So really digging at what's that thing? Why did I try to shoo that away? It's not just, no, it's something there. And I think that when we can mention it, um, and sometimes for me, mention it, I talk to myself, y'all. I may be sitting in here and just going through my head, talking through stuff, or I may start writing stuff. um for me, I like to write, so I will write, and stuff will start to flow. And then it's like, whoa, dang, that's what that was. And then sometimes I'll just keep writing thoughts and emotions and don't have any particular direction. I'll go back. I have, but then I'll go back months or whenever weeks later and read it. It's like, whoa, okay. So I personally keep all my journals. I have journals from years ago, and sometimes it's kind of it's really kind of comical reading them. I was like, wow, I was going through some major shit back then. Um, but it also served for me. It serves as a purpose to see where I've come from and to know that as well as that there's layers to this game, there's layers to this education, there's layers to the healing. It is not just going to store and got healing one. I think it's like healing one and all these subcategories and things afterwards, so there's always opportunity to expand. And as one of our spiritual teachers who said, you gotta, when you get the information, you need time basically to, I can't remember her exact words, but you need to process it. You need to move it. And when you move it, you're moving it into action. So I feel like that's kind of where I am too. Like I've had lots of downloads of information this past year. And now I feel like there's now I've moved some stuff into action, and now I'm moving into action on a deeper level. So it's like, oh, it's time to go even a little bit deeper. Dang, I thought I went deep. Nope, there's another layer to it. So yeah, so there's layers to the healing. There are and it's opportunity for us to do amazing work for ourselves and for our families. So again, being that chosen one to kind of um, explore yourself, and then be that person that helps your family to heal. It My heart just started fluttering a little bit. It's like, ah, because because some of us, self included, we can be lazy. We just want to be rainbows and sunshine and all that fluffy stuff. And it's like, that ain't it. That ain't, it's not always, that's fluffy stuff is good, but sometimes the work is it's messy. It's like cleaning that diaper, that kid's diaper. You know how you shit all over the place. It's like cleaning a diaper. It's like, oh, just boo boo everywhere, just stinking. And that's how it is. Sometimes cleaning up after traumatic situations. It's just shit everywhere. And sometimes you think you got it all and it's a little bit left. You got to go back and clean it up some more. And it's okay. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else in my notes that I want to talk about? I don't think so. Um, and for those who have maybe watched before, I never have I don't do the whole outline because then I might sound like a robot, and then y'all definitely be like, ugh, that's enough for her. But I kind of just go with the flow, and I go with what kind of is on my heart. So I know I've said a whole lot. It's been over an hour, but this is definitely my personal experience. Um, and please, this is not to throw shade at anyone else about how you choose to live. It's just, this is me and my personal experience and what I feel is. Is where I am right now, where I've been, and what's on my mind and my heart. So yeah. And I think that's it. Knowledge, are you gonna return? And he still I think he just, I don't know what knowledge is doing. Okay. So let's see. What else I want to talk about, y'all? That was the main thing that like really struck a chord with me. So, and like I said, if you didn't hear before, Knowledge Born of Allah came up with the headline. I had already like set it in my mind from earlier this week that I would talk once I got clear that I would talk about traumatic experiences, and I would talk about that on a personal level as far as me and my family and what I see needs to, you know, would be helpful. The healing that's needed. So it's just interesting how I feel like I'm being pushed out here to fly to share the little that I think I know, and I'm not sure who it will help or if it's just a matter of, oh, that girl crazy, she always talking, or if it's, man, hmm, she gave me some things to think about. So, I'm not sure if there's a lot of people on right now, or if, like, I don't know, months, weeks down the line, someone will listen to it and it will spark something um, within them to kind of move forward. Just to move forward, and that's what this is all about. It's about, you know, taking a stand for myself and moving forward for my family. And I don't know how that's all going to materialize and what it will look like, but whew, I'm ready to step into that space. And like I said, it's a little scary, but it's I think there's opportunity for um, just true healing, and it you know the healing process is not it's not always you know it's not easy. It kind of reminds me of when I had my hip replacement. Whew, that healing process, it was better probably than a lot of people because I had been training in the gym before my surgery, so my body was at a better it was in a better place to withstand the actual cutting and the pulling and the inserting and the drilling. Yeah, because not only do I have the hip replacement, um, I have a nail going through there and I have a mesh going around it. So they had to do a little bit of extra work because I had 3 pins in my hip for so long, for decades. It my bones were not in a good state. So you figure out, and drinking milk does not make the bones strong. So let's not fall into that one anymore. Hopefully, none of us believe that anymore. But so there was a lot done to my body, and I think that's like probably what the healing process is like. There's just a lot of stuff that happens that is done, that is pulled out, and you put it back together this way. You dig out this and you do that. So that's the healing process is it's like that surgery. Yeah. You have to really get in there and dig through all what is in there, getting all that that decay, that stuff that's not working. You got to find it, like finding it. So it's like yeah, your healing process is kind of like being a surgeon. You're digging in there, getting everything out that needs to come out. You're putting in what needs to be there or what you think needs to be there, because sometimes something else may need to be there or you need to add to it. So you're digging out, getting it out, putting stuff in, and then you got to close the process. You got to close it. So, and that's a lot. That's a lot. It's a lot to take on. Like anybody out there, or any and everybody that's out there working on healing yourself and your families, man, or even if you're just working on you right now, I commend you, because it is not an easy process to take on yourself, because we full of a lot of BS outside of any traumatic situations, just on a human level sometimes. So just taking on yourself is a major undergoing, and to step up and want to be the one to help your family get to a space of healing. It's I commend you. Like, there's a sister I admire deeply. Like, I look at the relationship that she has with her daughters and I'm like, wow, like they I they just talk about whatever, any and everything. And but they did have to go through this healing process. And I'm like, wow, it's a beautiful thing on the other side. So um and I want that. And this sister that I'm speaking of, man, she is somebody I when I first met her, I was like, ew, talk too doggone much. Was she always talking? And, ew, ew, ew. I just oh God, I was totally annoyed by her when I first met her. And then I had to sit with that. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? She ain't even do nothing to you, Bianca. And when I sat with it, and what was revealed to me is that there's things that I really admire about her and I don't have. And it was more irritation with me. Ew. It was irritation with Bianca because you saw something in somebody else who was willing to do whatever it took, and very vocal about it. Whereas because I had been used to stuffing things down. That's what trauma teaches us. It teaches us to stuff things down. So when there's someone just, just so open about stuff and just kind of taking the bull by the horns and making sure, she gets what she needs. It was totally like I was just disgusted by it. I was like, girl, yeah, I was like, ugh. But like I said, but when I had got gut level honest with myself about why I had this reaction to this person who had not done anything wrong to me or nothing wrong to anybody else. I mean, it was just that she was outspoken, and I had to had to really sit with that and realize, ooh, there's parts of her you really admire and want to be. You want to be that outspoken, and you want to um, be free enough to just say whatever is on your mind, and and this platform has given me that too, and I'm appreciative of it. So um knowledge born Allah. It's been almost an hour and a half and I have another event, so please come back. uh, I think he has truly um forgotten about me, and I am texting him because I really do have somewhere else to be in a little bit. So, are there any questions, knowledge, anybody out there? Has it just been me and you, or you and I? And either way, it's all good. But I definitely want to address anything that's been said. And here he is. Hey, you. Hey, we don't even have any music, but hey, this how we jam. This how we do. You know what?
I
You just go.
wanted my experience like everybody else. I was in the audience, okay?
You're
I
in
was
the.
in the audience. I was sharing, I was asking questions. See, I asked a question right here, and you said you got to go, so we're gonna
Oh,
save that. We're gonna
okay.
save that for part 4. Okay.
Okay. All
I
right.
wanted my experience like everybody else. Okay, I'm a fan.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you so much. I
I'm
appreciate
a
you.
fan.
I appreciate you. But yeah, yeah, there's
I know
levels
you got
to
to
it.
go.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do, because I have another event I need to prep for.
Right.
But yes, thank you again so much. And man, this brother has definitely pushed me outside of my comfort zone. And it's amazing how things start to unfold. Um, yeah, so cool.
So hopefully we'll see you next Saturday. So we can have part 4.
Part four, you got it. So
Hopefully. Hopefully.
yeah, I don't think there's nothing major on the calendar. Look, we're inside.
Well, I'm gonna be in Atlanta doing some interviews, so
Oh,
that's why I said
sweet.
hopefully. So if
Okay.
not,
If not,
the weekend
but
after,
the
either
weekend
way.
after is cool. I'm pretty sure I'll get some
But
more downloads on what's the next level to go to. So it's all good. And look, for all y'all folks, I ain't no doctor. I'm a senior HR generalist in corporate America, and this is just my life. It just is, and it's what it is.
she got it. She's a legend. Okay, I'm putting that on her. She is a legend. Okay, that's what she is.
And I'm gonna
Legend.
own that. You're right. I am a
All right,
legend.
there we go. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Well, I thank you for your time and your spiritual upliftment and your vibratory raising. Okay, you raised up my vibes was like you raised them back up. You
Oh,
understand?
thank you, sir. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Like I said, I appreciate you.
So hopefully I'll see you next week or
All right.
the week after,
All
one or
right.
the other.
Sounds
All right.
good. Bye, everyone. Mwah. Deuces.
All right.